What I want to say is welcome to all of you from YouTube to any virtual community, anytime you look, even if you're watching us on Facebook. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Charlotte, the Mind, Body, Spirit Center. And today our talk topic is the law of mentalism. Let's just allow our minds to relax and our eyes to take all the distraction out, either closing the eyes or looking down in our lap, but it's a choice. And then we can just take a nice deep breath like the reading. And we can let that breath out nice and easy as it relaxes us, because you just heard something fabulous. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life. And notice nothing out there or nothing outside of us had to change first. She just voiced how good she was feeling. When she says it's a new life for me and I'm feeling good, that's not because the world out there changed. It's because her state of mind is feeling good. So the state of mind must change. What, if anything, just shifted for you? Was it the world or your awareness? See, we are each unique, every one of us, and yet we participate in the law of mentalism. And what we're sharing here is something we value very deeply. I simply allow anyone who feels fed by this to support it. Because in that same spirit of connection and shared participation, our community flows and it is sustained through your generous donations. So thank you for being a part of that. So wiggle your fingers and your toes, but connect your mind, body, and spirit so you can listen through that connection. And relax your body and mind and spirit. Most of us were taught that life happens to us. You know, that the world is solid, fixed, and separate. And we were taught that we're just trying to manage the best we can. That's how people talk. You know, you ever hear people say, I'm hanging in there when you say, how you doing? I'm hanging in there. That's what they call managing life. Do you like managing life that way? See, the law of mentalism says everything we experience is shaped by consciousness before it becomes physical. Now you see me in the physical, but it becomes personal when we see how our lives are affected by this. See, the law of materialism means that everything we experience is shaped by consciousness. That's what it's actually saying. Get that? In other words, it's the consciousness that needs to be trained. It's really that simple, but it's so worth it to train that consciousness of ours. Every belief shapes what we notice, what we expect, and what we allow. In the physical world where we live, we see things because light around us slows down enough for our senses to catch it. Now, they have these big, beautiful instruments in the labs, the physics, the scientists, and all of them, that they can see what's going on around us through those lenses. But just because we don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. So Melissa read that everything that appears in our experience began as a vibration, and those vibrations are what they can see before we even get up in the morning. Not metaphorically, literally, just like she said in the reading, because physics tells us that most of what exists is moving too fast for our senses to register. And that's what they see, how quickly things are moving rapidly, just thoughts. What we practice, we have to practice feeling first. And that is how the non-physical, whatever it is around us that we're calling into our lives, becomes real. You see, that's how we get our mind and body, but we gotta really practice that. And metaphysics is what this is all about. And it says the same thing that science says, and what we call form, for example, form, right? What we call form is all physical, because anything that we can see is form, and it's a physical, and it's physical matter. But what happens is with form, something took shape. A chair is now visible, but I'll tell you about that chair in a minute. Something that has become visible is what form is. It's also something that you have experienced, good, bad, or indifference. It's all what we see, feel, and hear, and taste, and use our senses for in the physical. In other words, form is what we physically see. However, form doesn't start out as form. Okay, I'm going to go somewhere with this, and I hope you get this one. Form starts out as an idea. The life you're living right now is an idea you had months ago, weeks ago, years ago. Yes, because you didn't know. Then after you have this idea of, oh, I don't know how I'm going to make it. Oh, we've had that back then. Well, we have to change that. But then it moves into a feeling. Oh, I got to make sure I pay my rent on time, because you're looking at that account. You're not doing anything but looking at that. You're not going beyond it. You're right there. But then that form that you're looking at moves into feeling. And then that settles into your belief. And then it shows up as your experience. Still chasing the dollar, afraid to spend it because you think you're going to lose it if you don't. And I'm here to tell you that that is the opposite way to look at that. The reason you are given what you're given is so you can use what you're given. And when you use it, the universe pours a vacuum. It will replenish. But to hold back, I'm not going to tell you what you're doing, because that's another whole talk. But to hold back on yourself is what you've been doing. But see, here's the thing. Science, spirituality, and metaphysics, they're all pointing at the same idea. So what you're looking at in your life right now is not the beginning. Oh, listen to this. It's the end of the process. That means the chair didn't start out as a chair. It started out as a thought of the person who made that chair. Huh? Oh, it was an idea. Oh, that chair is the end of the process, not the beginning. So if you're looking at your bank account and seeing as that is the beginning, no, what the deal is what you're putting into thought about it right now. So that person decided that I want a chair that's round with beautiful little pieces to hold it together. And then they had to do another thing. They had to make a decision to build it. And when they did that, they saw that it's something that we can sit on. Well, again, your life works that way. Mind starts everything into your life. Now, you think it's a cliche when they say everything starts out in the mind. Not cliche. I've been practicing it and it's real. I will not practice it any other way. I catch things and say to myself, oh, the way you feel about your body, all of these things matter. That's mind. The way you experience your relationships, the way you think about money, the way money shows up for you. But you know what? None of this is random. These are just patterns of thought in your life that you continue to have every day, and they slow down into form. So you can see, wow, still got no money. Or maybe you might see, wow, look at that. I got an extra $1,000 just because I made a decision a couple of weeks ago. It's amazing. I turned off my phones with Spectrum, right? I mean, with Verizon, turned on my phones with Spectrum, and they said they'd buy me out. But the thing is, they said they'd buy me out where they'd pay me less. I mean, where I would pay for whatever it was that was due on the phone. It wasn't much due on the phone, but they're going to give me $1,000 card. I said, sure, I'll do that. Money comes because I'm not afraid to use it. You get it? When it comes to things that CSL Charlotte needs, and I put forth the effort and anything I got to do it, all my life is running well. Clockwork. I was just saying that yesterday. I said, oh my God, everything is running like clockwork. I got to the car dealer yesterday. I got to the girls in Rock Hill. I got to all the different places where there was no stress, no work. These are the things that is going on in my world because of the patterns of thought. And before I even do stuff, what am I doing? I'm writing down what I would like to do, to see done. I will never stop doing it. And I told you guys that 3 years ago, I started what, when, where, did, where, and if. Still, I'm doing it every single morning. That's the first stop. Those thoughts of pattern. Those patterns of thought. So here's the thing. So if I'm just looking at form, which is the end result, then I'm working on the physical side. If you're working on the physical side where the money is actually seen, get out of it. Take that, go into that mind. That's mentalism. Okay. And so when we are working at the end of the process, that's what happens. We're in the physical part. So that's why I said your life is not the beginning of anything. It's what you see right now. So if we work with the mind first, we're working at the beginning of the process. That's the source. And how do we do that? When we sit, relax our minds, and practice noticing how this works for you. Oh my God, that's what I do. I notice how it works. I notice how my body feels. I notice where there's tension. I notice where there's not. And then I apply it to my life, or you could do the same. And then that's how I am living the law of mentalism. In other words, what we're saying, practice, number one, relax, number two, apply it, definitely. Because I was talking to Alan earlier, you have to open up your mouth and do what you say you're going to do, or actually be what you say you're going to be, or go where you say you're going to go. That's applying it. But to say, oh, I just feel tired, that's not that other part that you need. You got practice, you got relax, but applying, you need the man he build that chair. You wouldn't have that chair. That's how you live the law of mentalism. I hope I'm getting it to you. What if we see and touch something and we think, oh, this is how it all starts? If you can see it, that's not where it began. You got to trace back. I'll even say to myself, oh, you know what happened? Even when I see something good that happened, I said, you asked for this 20 years ago. And here's the thing. What you're saying you want to do, and you're sitting and being silent with yourself, it never stops until you stop wanting it. And you'll stop wanting it by not doing the application, by not applying what you got to do. I got to make the calls. I got to go visit people. I got to go interview. I got to go see people. I have to deal with people in order for me to use my knowledge. So when it comes down to this metaphysics, science, and all the knowledge that we have today, guess what? This stuff survives centuries. From century day one, they were recording these things. This is not new. I'm not telling you anything new, but I'm hoping to interest you in finding out how this works in your life. Because it has survived centuries. It has survived translations. People translating, not English, I speak English, but no, people translating all the languages, people, entire civilizations, you know, from Lao Tzu generation, from Thich Nhat Hanh's generation, all of this stuff has been documented and carried through New Thought schools. This has been carried through ancient thought school. They even carved it on tablets back then. This isn't just my thing. It's been a part of metaphysics forever. And so we got to stop looking at this, what I'm talking about is new, because it's not. I'm just using something that's been around for years, and I'm loving life. I'm living the law of mentalism. Lots of people study and they teach it, and they can, and that, you know what? That can absolutely be you too. You can teach yourself if that's all you want to do. But if you teach it, that's your talent. When that becomes your talent, now that becomes your income. But you don't have to think, you can think about this if you choose that. That's just me. But it's all mind, no matter what you call it. Not your mind, not my mind, just mind. Trust that everything begins in the mind, because that's where it goes. That's where it starts. See, the law of mentalism is explained like this. Mind is like the fabric, the big piece of material, right? This big tree and carved into this big, beautiful piece of material, right? We are all threads within it. And when we use that mind, we're working at the beginning of our process. But you got to trust the process so you can listen closely. You can hear your oneness with spirit say something like this. Wait a minute. Because I started saying this a long time ago. Wait a minute, don't take this stuff too literally, that you might read stuff in the Bible, or you might read somebody's quote. They may be fantastic, but is it literal to you? But okay. But the mind says, don't take it too literally. Your oneness with spirit is just making you know. Take it experientially. I don't take this stuff in theory. I do it. I have to experience it. I have to do the sitting down. I have to do all of that, because what happens is it shuts down my ego from doing what it does. Because if you just heard, don't take this literally, take it experientially, the ego is going to go, absolutely not. No, I am not going to do that. Because why? The ego doesn't like change. So don't be surprised if it offers you solutions that scares you into saying, oh, I better not do that. It'll cause you to take the lazy way out. You have to know the difference between when your ego is trying to tell you, don't do that. Because it's trying to stay safe. It's trying not to do anything. But that's still mentalism. You understand it's your ego. Because the ego just loves logic. It wants to manage things, to have control over things. I don't care about if I don't control nothing. I just want to get what I want and be happy. The ego is not willing to admit that all these years I've lived, and I have no idea that what I was doing was the wrong way. It'll never admit that. So it dislikes change for that reason. I hope I'm making that clear. I have to keep saying that because I want to get you to get mentalism is not a belief. It's a description of mind. We only see what our mind can accept. not just what's actually there. There's nothing there in stone, etched in stone in mind. It's so many possibilities in mind. You just got to observe the one and pull it and then do the things and apply yourself the way you should. And so what it is finds out what you are more aware and how much you are willing to perceive. That's what the mind will only give you, what you will accept. So if you can look at your account and say, oh, I can't afford that, because, well, if you look at your account and say, you know what, I'm gonna spend it anyway, because it's for this cause, that's when you're going to start seeing things working. There is far more happening than the human eye can see or can detect. That's what these big instruments in those labs are all about. I love reading about that stuff. The law of mentalism shows up in many ways. And now I'll tell you a little bit about my own life, I guess, because that's the only way I can tell you how it works, because I'm applying it to my life. So I'm starting to remember something. When people come to my classes and I go, because I really allow myself to give myself up. I don't sit there and try to logic. I don't think about, well, we're going to do this exercise, or I'm going to start the meditation at 3:42 or whatever. Everything I do has to be meditation, because it calms everybody. It calms me. And once that happens, things happen. The law of mentalism is playing all through it. And so what it is when I step into the room, I'm relaxed. I'm feeling that connection with all the people in the room. So if I sense their energy, I may not know that's what I'm doing at the moment, but people come to me at the end of the class and tell me things like, you know what? Since I've been in your class, I walk straighter. My balance is better. My mind is clearer, or I feel good in my body. I just feel better because you came, and I'm glad you started doing this with us. They'll say to me, my back pain has significantly decreased. One person had the little hump back thing, and how the chin protrudes. After a couple of months, you can see it plain as day. Her back is straight, her neck is long. But those people are literally saying, I'm going to be here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to apply this work. So that's how people get mentally clearer. You got to apply it. But I smile because it makes me feel good to know that I'm doing the right thing. This is true. These people are seeing the truth, because that's exactly what this practice will do for them. So I'm using the practice and I'm giving it out to them. That's the law of mentalism. See, I know that I am in mind. I am the mind. And I know that the mind is me. But do you know that? Do you trust the process? That's the experience. That's how you get to experience what you want. I listen to what the mind behind what's happening in any moment. I don't, have to tell people what to do. I don't. But I'm saying things. I was the other day walking out, and two girls were still talking, and somebody said to me, you know what? It seems like you're reading my mind. But it really wasn't. It was the energy of the room I'm picking up on, because I am always sitting and, whatever. But at the same time, one girl said, yeah, we was having a conversation before we came to class, and I said I needed a hug. And then she said, you had us do the muscle in the back, the rhomboid muscle. You had us do the rhomboid muscles and said, give yourself a big old hug. I was done. I didn't come there to do that plan. That was for the rhomboid muscle. You see, the law of mentalism works for anyone. You just got to know it exists, and you got to be willing to play with it. I call it play the game. The more we sit in the silence with ourselves, the easier it is to connect to the world and the people around it, or the people in it. I practice silence several times a day. Sometimes I need to turn the radio off in the car because that's how I am getting that relationship with myself ready for where I'm going. See, people think that when they sit to silence, it's something's missing, or let me tell you something. When people say, oh, it's too quiet in here, that kind of bothers me because it could be two of us sitting here, but it's nothing against you because the person isn't talking. Silence is not the absence of anything. It's the presence of everything that does not have to prove itself. Silence is golden and it's true. So I like silence. So that's how I let the law of mentalism carry me. Because I trust that I'm not going to say anything wrong, and I'm not going to mess up or get anybody angry when I tell my truth. Because I am conditioned. You have to condition. I let the deeper mind speak through the silence in the moment. If we're silent, let the deeper mind speak. I don't rehearse what I need to say. In the silence, nothing is fake and phony. I used to say, oh, they just fake and phony. But not in the silence. Nothing is imaginary. Silence is not, remember, the absence of something. It's the presence of that spirit communicating to you without words. That's what silence is really all about. And we don't give that enough time to communicate with us. But we do sit there, if we do, oh, I'm so mad at her. Hey, that's the physical world, and that's the final echo in the process. So why are you down here in the final place when you need to be up here creating in mind? You get that? You don't fix physical matter by wrestling with it in your silence, your time of silence. Oh, I'm so mad at him or her. You're not sitting in silence to think about them. Oh, I'm worried about me not having this. That's not what you sit in silence for. You sit in silence and stop talking. Let the just oneness with spirit communicate with you without using words. And all of a sudden you'll start doing things, you'll shift. Then your mind starts becoming trained. You start to train your mind. That's why prayer works. And that's why prayer doesn't work. Did you hear me? Just because you're saying it does not mean anything. But because you're in mind with it is something else. That's also why meditation works. You're not, okay, if I'm thinking about an example, you're not rearranging the furniture in your room with that chair. What you're doing is literally rearranging the frequency that made the chair. So that means you're changing your mind. Prayer doesn't grant you things or give you stuff. Prayer changes the mind of the person praying. Spiritual practice changes the mind of the person practicing. The universe is not outside of you when you're sitting in your silence. It's not even outside of you when you're not. It's never outside of you. You're never outside of it. You're right inside of it. It's right inside of you. It's responding to everything you do. So it's hard to get that to happen. Oh, I hear people say that all the time, and I go, oh, get back away from him or her. Stop it. See, you're not a character trapped into some box on a TV, into a world. You're not that character. You are the field interacting with the infinite field. You're finite. I'm finite. But you know what? I am reacting, and the infinite field is reacting to me. You're not a small mind. You're in a big, gigantic universe. You are the universe expressing itself through a point of awareness. And guess what we call that point of awareness? You. You. So when you change your inner atmosphere, the outer world adjusts just like a mirror, and it's catching a new light enough to slow down so you can experience it and be able to see, feel, and touch that. That's why we get our senses. So what do we do with this information? What are you going to do with it? Well, first of all, we stop trying to fix physical matter, because now you understand this is already at its end result. This pen is at its end result. It was an idea one day, but now it's at the end. You get it? So right now, your situation, whatever it is, the lack thereof, it's just the end of it. Now you got to create a new beginning. Am I making sense? You turn in, not out there, and ask people, what do you think? You don't come in here to retreat and run away from the world. You come in here to sit in the silence and listen so you can recreate whatever it is you want to change. When we sit with ourselves to practice, we clarify that consciousness I started talking about. That's the thing, the consciousness. We clean up that signal like that, and then we get to choose the vibration we want to stabilize it into the form. We get to choose that vibration because we were in the beginning, we're in the mind, because everything is mind. Then if that's the case, if everything is mind, everything is responsive. Everything is alive. But I'm not asking you to believe anything I say. I'm inviting you to actually notice something. Notice how your body responds when you change your inner thoughts. Notice how your body responds to when you tell people your real feelings. And then notice how they respect you more. When you change from that person of indecisiveness to certainty, now people want to notice. Now you want to notice. Notice how life rearranges itself when you stop people pleasing, if that's one of the things you do, and start aligning with mind, not them. People around you don't align with them because the law of mentalism doesn't work that way, because it's not a command. It's a reminder. And here's the reminder. It's telling you that you're not a passenger. You are a participant. A participant. You're not just sitting there looking at your life. You participate in it. You're reacting. You're not reacting to the world that's already built. You are co-creating with the world that's always forming and changing. This world never is going to stay the same. So remember, all is mind. And each chapter of your life, you can go back and see what happened then and say, okay, now I know what I don't want in my next chapter. But just remember this, that next chapter is unwritten. It's a blank page. You're just going to turn that page, and you are one of the ways that the universe edits those chapters, that it changes with you because it's responding to you. So again, if all is mind and you are one with the mind and the way it thinks, then that means something is always still unfolding in your life. Look at your life. Something is still becoming. And maybe, just maybe, what you thought was already written and done and that's the end, it's nowhere near finished yet. And then when you hear your life is still unwritten, your rest of your life is still unwritten, that's not wishful thinking. Wishful thinking? Wishful thinking. That's the law of mentalism. So It means that life is not something you're waiting to happen. It's something you're participating in. So let's get it together and start writing. So when you give today, understand what you're doing. You're making an investment in consciousness. I talk about consciousness all the time because that's what runs us. Believe it or not, it'll always run us till we die. You're not just making donations, though. You're investing in truth that has the power to change the world. That's what consciousness can do. Well, did for me, my world. You're not investing in the law of material. I mean, you are investing in the law of mentalism. That and what it does is it wakens you to the truth of who you are. And I'm not speaking from a book, I'm speaking from how I live. And I live in the law of mentalism. Your investments and all the things that strengthen you through the law of mentalism is continuing to have you to be the space in your own life and in your own world through the law of mentalism. So as you soften and decide you will share your finances, you begin to feel that same way. You begin to feel that same flow in your life. As you align your giving with this flow, you position to change, heal, and prosper. People say, oh, I want prosperity. Work it. You will prosper right along with it. So as you give, just ask yourself, am I really willing to, to support a place where we don't just learn about the law of mentalism, we are transformed and changed by the law of mentalism. Period. So as we wrap up our time together, Alan, I love what you're saying. You keep going. I mean, that just got me the whole prayer. So as we wrap up our time together, remember the law of mentalism. Don't forget it. Start to understand the law of mentalism for yourself. Work it and accept change and be willing to sit with yourself. You've got to be willing, right? And the more consistent you, the more consistently you sit, the easier it is for you to live within the law of mentalism. Remember, all is mind. This is the law of mentalism. So until we meet again, stay with the law of mentalism and watch who and what you are becoming. And so it is.